Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be drafting a basic bodice pattern. So we are going to start by marking a starting line, like I'm going to do. Could be half inch or 1 inch, depends on what you want. So I'm just going to be marking a starting line, and from this line I'm going to be taking my measurements. So my shoulder to bust point is 10 inches, so I'm just going to mark that 10 inches. Now square it out like that. My shoulder to my half length, I call this front bodice length, but it's also called half length, is 16. So I'm just going to be marking 16 all the way around. So I'm just going to join them up like that. Right. Okay, after that has been done, I'm going to go ahead and impute my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5. So on this line I'm going to be marking my 7.5, which is here. I'll leave that there. Then I'll come and mark my neckline. Please, I use 3 by 3 and that's standard. So for the neck width I'm going to use 3 inches, and for the neck depth I'm using 3 inches. This is because this is the front piece, front bodice pattern. When I say front bodice, that is the front piece. We'll be drafting the back later. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw my curve like so all the way. Note that it's not good to just draw that curve all the way here. It's better you mark a straight line, say 1 inch is in, and then you join it up. Then on this shoulder line that I marked, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. This will serve as my shoulder slope. So I'm going to be joining this point to this point. So please watch what I'm doing carefully. So I'm joining this point to this point, so we have our shoulder slant already. So now for the armhole length, I'm going to be dividing my bust by 6 inches, and I'll add 1.5 to whatsoever I have. So that will give me 7.6. So that will give me 7.6. So I'm just going to be marking that 7.6 from this slanted point. Please, from this point I came down by 1 inch, I'm marking 7.6, and this will serve as my chest line, right? Okay, so I'm just going to draw that across. You can decide to draw it all the way down to the center front, it's a matter of choice. So now that I have 7.6, I'm just going to be making sure that I have my exact shoulder measurement on that point as well. And with that, after that has been done, I'm going to be joining this point to this point, right? So we have our armhole line. So on this part now, I'm going to be measuring what I have here. Remember, it was 7.6, so I'll divide that 7.6 by 2, and whatsoever it gives me, I'm going to be marking it here. 7.6 divided by 2 gave me about 3.75. So on this line here, I'm going to be marking 3.75, right? And so on this point now, this point that I marked at 3.75, remember I divided this line by 2 and I marked the midpoint. I'm going to come in by half an inch or 0.75. It's a matter of what you want. So for me, I'm just going to be using 0.75, and I'll mark. So from this 0.75, when it's time to mark our bust measurement, we will use it. So for now, my bust measurement divided by 4 is 9.25. So on this chest line now, I'm going to be marking 9.25. Please take note, 9.25, starting from the center front, right? I am marking 9.25 here, right? Good. I'm not going to be adding allowance because this is just a pattern for now. So I'll just draft it exactly the way I want it. So from now, after I've marked my 9.25, I'm going to be joining this point, and this point together. So you watch what I'm doing. So from here, I'm going to have join to this point like so, and with a curve I will join it all the way to that point. So I hope we are following. So after, I can go ahead and just blend out. So after that has been done, we've gotten our bust measurement. So I'm now coming to the waistline. My waist measurement is 28 divided by 4 will give me 7. So I'm going to be marking my 7 here. Then after that, I'm going to add 1.5 to that. That 1.5 will serve as my dart leg. I'm coming to that. Then my apex to apex, that is nipple point to nipple point, or bust point to bust point, however you call it, is 7. So I'm going to be dividing that by 2, and to give me 3.5. I'll mark my 3.5 here, and I'll also come up to the bust point, right, and mark my 3.5, right? Then I'll join them up. Please take note. I'll join them up with a straight line. Good. Now after I have done that, I'm going to come to each side of that leg. Remember that 1.5 I added here, I'll divide it by 2, and that will give me 0.75. So on each side, I'm going to be marking 0.75 from this middle line, this that leg, that nipple to nipple, that I divided by 2, and on the other side, I'm also going to be marking 0.75. Now after I've marked, I will leave that there. Then I'll come to the bust point, and I'll come down by 1 inch. I do not want my dart to get to the bust point so that it's not pointing out. So from this point, I'm going to join to this point, and I'm also going to join to this point. Now our dart for the front piece is ready. Remember I said our waist measurement was 7.5 plus the 1.5 dart leg. So we are going to be joining our the bust measurement to the waistline measurement. So now I'm going to be joining this point to this point. Let me recap. I said my bust divided by 4 was 9.25, which is here. I'm not adding any allowance to this pattern. And then my waist measurement divided by 4 is 7.5, right, plus my 1.5 inches for that. Now I'll also come here and impute my 9.25 here on my bust point. So from there, I'm going to have something that looks like a straight line here, and then I'll just join it up all the way. So right now our front bodice is ready. This is why it's called front bodice length, FBL for short, because this is the front piece, front bodice length. So after this, we are going to go over to the back bodice. So to go over to the back body, this is just what I'm going to do. I'm just going to shift this paper aside, and I'll do exactly the same thing. I'll follow these lines that I already have here. I'll follow the lines. Please take note. For the purpose of this back piece, I'll be using another color of marker. So I'll just follow this line, the starting line. Remember, I'm going to go ahead and follow my armhole line. It's the same thing. Everything is the same method. The only thing that will differ here would be that we are going to be having a zip allowance, and then our neckline will not be the same, and then there's going to be a slight contouring or at the waistline. Let me put it that way. So I'm joining them up, please. This is our waistline, bust point, chest line. So now for this back piece, I'm just going to be marking out a 2 inches inward this way. This will serve as my zip allowance, right? We're going to be having a zip allowance for the back. So this is why I say that this is the difference. So this is going to serve as our zip allowance for the back. Please take note, right? So whatever measurements we are taking, we are going to be starting from this line. So now I'll also impute my shoulder measurement, which was 7.5, right? I'm imputing it here. And my neckline, I'm still going to be maintaining 3 for the width, and then for the depth, I'm going to be going in by 1 inch. So you see the difference. The back neckline depth is 1 inch, sorry, while the depth for the front is 3 inches. So after that has been done, here I'll still come down by 1 inch to have our slope for the back piece. So from that part I'm going to join up this way, and here this is the chest line which I marked. I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement, which is also 7.5 here, and I'll join it up. Please take note. I hope we are not confused. It's the same thing I did for the front, just a slight difference. Then on this waistline, I'm going to mark my waistline, which was 7 inches after I divided by 4. And for this back piece, you can decide to maintain your 1.5 for the dart, or you can just do 1 inch. So for me, I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch for my dart for the back, so that will be 8 inches. So I'm adding extra 1 inch, and I'm going to be maintaining the same 3.5 right here for my apex to apex. That is bust points to bust points divided by 2. It was 7, so I divided it by 2, it gave me 3.5. And since I kept 1 inch dart here, I'm going to be opening it up by ½ inch on each side to give me a 1 inch dart. Please take note. And then I'll also come to the bust point here, and I'll also mark that my nipple point to nipple point, which is 7 divided by 2, and it gave me 3.5. I'll join them up this way, and then I'll join the dart leg. Note that for the back, the dart can go all the way to the bust point. Sometimes it can even go all the way to the chest line. It's a matter of choice, but I like to leave mine at the bust point. So now that that has been done, we have our waistline marked here plus our dart here. We have to replace that dart because you take it out. If you don't replace it, you shorten your waistline. I also come here and mark from here. Please take note, I'm taking my measurement from this line. I also mark my bust measurement divided by 4, which was 9.25 for me. So from here now, I'm going to be joining up these parts. Then I'll come to the armhole line. So this armhole line divided by this line 7.6 divided by 2 was 3.75 here. So I'm going to leave that there. So for now, I'm going to join this point to this point. Unlike the front that we had to go in, we are not going in with this one. So our armhole for the back is ready. Now I'm going to come to the waistline. Remember that this waistline is 16. As in the FBL, that is half length, is 16, right? From bodice length is 15. So this is what I'm going to do. For our back, we know that our back is not straight, so we cannot have it 16. Sometimes you have to, depending on your back measurement, you can measure it. Your back can be 1 inch below your actual half length. So for here, I'm going to come up here by 1 inch. Please take note. From this waistline, I'm going to come up by 1 inch, and I'm going to join this point to this point, because no matter what happens, these two sides has to meet each other. Please take note. The side seams have to meet each other. So I'm just going to go ahead and slant that. So when I'm cutting, I'll just add my allowance from here, from here, from here, no longer from here. This is now our new back length, right? Good. Now coming to the zip shaping, this is 2 inches. I want to shape my zip by 0.75, right? So you can decide to do it this way. Since this is 2 inches, you can decide to just mark that 0.75 that you are taking out here, right? So this becomes your new zip line. And on this neckline, so that there is no bulge, I always come in by ½ inch as well. So I am going to be connecting this to this and this to this. Please take note. Right, you connect that. So remember, I came in by ½ inch. So I'm going to be marking this to my bust point, ½ inch, and then to my half length. Remember the 0.75 I came in with. So I have shaped my zip. This is to eliminate the bulge that people have. This shaping and this here coming up here serves to eliminate that bulge at the back. So I will also join this up. So please take note. So for now, our back piece is ready. We have our back bodice length, our back bodice, and our front bodice. This is our front bodice. This is half length for the front. Please take note. half length or your waistline, whatever you want to call it, half length, front bodice length, whatever. And this is our bust point, chest line, and what have you. So as you can see, this is my front bodice length is ready, and my back bodice length. You can see the difference. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out so that we see what it looks like. So for this front piece, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the neckline and cut it off like so. Watch what I'm cutting so that you understand. So you see, our front bodice length is ready. So I'm just going to keep this aside. I'll go ahead and cut our back bodice. Of my zip around. Cutting off the armhole right now. Notice that I'm cutting on that same line for the waistline of the center of the front piece. So instead of cutting this straight line now for the back, I'm going to be cutting this other part I came up by 1 inch. Please take note. So this is our back body and our front body, right? So if I'm to place, if I'm to place them side by side, rather, this is what it looks like. If they were on fold, it will make more sense when you open it up. So ideally, this is how it's supposed to look like. I have to turn the other way. That doesn't, right? Notice what is happening here. Everything is meeting, please. Now notice this part. I came in here by 0.75 for the front piece armhole. Notice that it's going in. Notice that there is space between the back and the front. What this does is that so that there are no folds on your front armhole. Now see, this center front is sitting on that zip line, this place here. Notice that. Then if I turn it this way, this is what we did at the back. Remember, we came up by 1 inch, but as you can see, the side seams are still meeting. So please take note. Thank you for watching. I hope this